Mega Pokémon were the franchise's first foray into form and game-changing gimmicks like this, which means it holds a special place in many a Pokémon fan's heart. But in my case, it's my brain. While many Mega Pokémon designs are straightforward, there are a few begging for further explanation, like why does Mega Absol grow wings, why does Mega Glalie jaw break, and why does Mega Hawlucha do little more than put on a sparkly hat? We just had a game about sparkly hats! All questions we'll get to in this 4-part series where I explain the design DNA of every Mega Pokémon. Hi, I'm Lockstin and I've been studying Pokémon origins for longer than some of you watching have been alive, yet somehow I've never done this. Maybe just because most Megas don't change or add too much, so it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll explain them all anyway. Maybe you'll learn something. I did. Like how every Mega Evolution will typically do one or more of a few things. One, they'll exaggerate something, like Lucario's longer tail and dreads, or all the extra big horns and armor we see on Mega Garchomp, Aggron, and Houndoom. And what is Mega Slowbro besides just a Slowbro with its tail exaggerated? Two, they'll add something, like Mega Gallade's cape, Beedrill's extra stinger, or the equivalent of an entire extra gosh dang Metagross on Mega Metagross. 3. Some will refer back to lost elements in a previous evolution, like Mega Dragonite's feathery wings and thick bejeweled Dragonair tail, or the Pupitar face or torso on Tyranitar, or the extra woolly fluff returning to Ampharos. 4. Some Mega Evolutions will lose something, or are handicapped in some way. See the speed of Mega Camerupt, for instance. It gets cut in half. And for good reason. Does that look like something with a reaction time at all? A lot of the more defensive Mon follow suit, at least visually. Meanwhile, Glalie's jaw breaks and can no longer close. Aerodactyl and Helix now have painful spikes jutting out from their skeletons. Mega Feraligatr, Mega Gyarados can't even think straight, and this poor Phalink is always struggling. Mega Evolution is not a pleasant experience for many, but we force it on them anyway because it's hype. And lastly, the controversial element. Mega Evolutions will add an X, Y, or now Z element to their designs. This is most obvious with Mega Raichu, but you'll find references both bold and subtle to these shapes in most of them. I'll link a really great video by Taco about that specifically, both here and in the description. Just keep in mind, it's mainly looking at the changes and additions Mega Evolution causes, because really any quadruped is going to have an X shape to it. But this XY idea is fitting given that Mega Evolution originates from special stones that were irradiated by the light of Xerneas and Yveltal, who very much have obvious X's and Y's throughout their whole designs, and pass that design element along the same way that Terapagos passes its sparkly gems along as it's the source of terastallization, and how Eternatus passes its hugeness, pink glow, and clouds along as it is the source of Dynamaxing, and how the bright auras charging Pokémon during Z-moves were passed along from Ultra Necrozma. Same thing. So now, let's go over the original Mega Evolutions introduced in Pokémon X and Y. Starting with Mega Venusaur is a rather weak start since it doesn't really change much at all. This dinosaur-like giant horned frog sees the Rafflesia banana palm plants on its back grow an extra layer of leaves, and now there's some extra flowers on its head and backside. Don't think about it. It also gains the thick fat ability as it's gained a lot of weight. Pokédex. In order to support its flower, its back and legs have become stronger. And as we know from strongmen competitions versus bodybuilding ones, real strength isn't from the superhero body, it tends to involve more body fat. Other than that, it does also bring the face spots back from its previous evolutions, only now, instead of a random Bulbasaur Ivysaur-y smattering, it's in a Y shape, much akin to Mega Aerodactyls too, perhaps because they're both dinosaur-esque? Now, Mega Blastoise adds an extra cannon on top, which both makes it more closely resemble a military tank, and finally makes it so its water blasting attack animations line up with where the water actually shoots out of it. Okay, I guess not still. Gosh dang it, Game Freak! Pokédex, the cannon on its back is as powerful as a tank gun. Its tough legs and back enable it to withstand the recoil from firing the cannon. Its back legs don't change too much, bigger toes and cankles now, but the shells on its forearms are an interesting choice. It almost feels like a Samus or Mega Man arm cannon, though I guess they're more arm-mounted cannons, like Megatron and Buzz Lightyear, and you could see the shells on the arms being akin to smaller tanks of water like what you see on toy water guns. But also, thanks to these extra shells, when looking at Mega Blastoise from behind, find Blastoise's favorite position. The shells make the same separated Y shape we saw on Mega Venusaur, and we'll continue to see on later Megas as well. But now, I wonder if the flatter, sturdier head is supposed to resemble a Japanese firefighter helmet but with ears. I guess those, plus its new pointy chin, gives its head another Y shape. Now, Charizard, being one of the most popular Pokémon, it gets 2 Mega Evolutions, one exclusive to each game, and thus they are called Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y. Starting with Y, like most Megas, it is simply Charizard, but more so. Its sleeker, more aerodynamic wings and body plan explain its heightened flying agility. According to the Pokédex, it boasts speed and maneuverability greater than that of a jet fighter. In fact, its wings are significantly larger once you take a closer look at it, which, along with the thicker tail and sleeker body, gives it a bit of an overall Y-shaped silhouette when it's in the air. Its single, longer head horn and slightly darker orange skin could be seen as a callback to Charmeleon, or even to Charizard's early Gen 1 design. But also, looking at these horns upside down, it's again the same separated Y shape we saw on the other Kanto starters. And more to come. Though that, along with the arm wings and the other various spikes, simply makes it all the more dragon-like. It's like it has mini wyvern wings, and plenty of dragons in folklore and media have excessive horns and spiky scales across their bodies to up the cool intimidation factor. But it's Mega Charizard X that actually replaces its flying type with dragon. The overwhelming power that fills its entire body causes it to turn black and creates intense blue flames. While there are many ways to color fire, in general blue flames are hotter than red and yellow ones, as it usually indicates a more efficient flame. But in Charizard's case, it's a flame charged with proper dragon energy. Lots of fantasy media will make dragon fire something completely different from regular fire, and it being a irregular color is how they'll sometimes show that difference. Its power has been exaggerated. Its new black color could even be seen as it itself becoming charred. Burnt. Its power is too great for even it to handle. Ouch. One interesting difference between the two Charizards is how they fly in-game. As we established, Y has a more upright stance, tail dangling below to give it a subtle Y-shaped silhouette as it dramatically flaps its wings. Mega Charizard X, on the other hand, doesn't flap. It's gliding, body and tail leaning down a bit more and legs further apart, maintaining this overall X-shaped silhouette. Maybe even mini. And while its shoulder horns are there for the same dragony reason as Mega Char Y's extra horns, I wonder if their horned pauldronness along with X's wing shape resembles a dramatically torn cape. Many dragon-type trainers have cape-like parts in their outfits, which itself is perhaps akin to fantasy magicians and sorcerers who are known to summon dragons in media. Though it could also just simply reflect dragon wings with more membrane segments. Now, Mega U is entirely possible when you upgrade your overall quality of life. Not with a Mega Stone, but with a mega good deal on a pillow and mattress from this video's sponsor, Helix Sleep. Imagine how much better life can be with an average of 39 more minutes of sleep and 25 more minutes of the good, deep sleep each night. That's what folks got in Helix's Wesper sleep study when on a Helix mattress. I never thought I'd be a morning person, but then I swapped from my old discount mattress to the Helix Midnight Lux 9 years ago. And now I have all new problems. Instead of not wanting to get out of bed because I'm still exhausted, I don't want to get out of bed because it's so comfy. But yes, despite aging, I'm more energized now in the mornings than I was in my early 20s. Surely the built-in cooling cover and Comfort Adjust cooling pillow helps there too. Especially over summer. They're cool to the touch and help wick away excess body heat so you're not tossing and turning all night to cool off. It helps you sleep deeper. And this pillow is easily adjustable, both in that you can easily add or remove its premium memory foam, but also with these zippers you can adjust its total firmness on the fly. Some nights you need a little extra support, maybe you're sick, and being able to use one pillow for all of that is great. So, go to helixsleep.com/Lockstin to get my exclusive partner offer of 27% off everything. The pillows, the mattresses, the mattress toppers to improve the quality and extend the life of your current generic mattress, all of it 27% off. And a big thank you to Helix for all their support, making big videos like this one possible. Mega Blaziken takes Blaziken and makes it more. Wow. More head feathers, more comb, more waddle, more meta breaking, more Dave's hot chicken. I mean, fire is leaking out of it now.
Ooh, spicy!
Ultimately, Mega Blaziken is just more Shamo chicken, an Asian breed of chicken bred specifically for cockfighting. Compared to most chickens and roosters, they are very muscular and stand very upright. They are most often orange and black too, meaning Mega Blaziken's new colors are just more realistic. But the decor around its face sort of gives it the fire character in Japanese. Or, along with the new bulging tan feathers on its torso too, it makes a big beige X. But it also somewhat resembles a Chinese bolero. I'm sure there's a proper name in Chinese for this article of clothing worn by various martial artists, including sword dancers, which got them 4 ribbons on the swords, or mid-arms, which on their own makes another big X too. What? Though it could also just be invoking the diagonal lines on traditional martial artists' cheongsam, tang suits, or hanfu. More so vibes and less literal, of course. But I'm by no means an expert in Chinese clothing. Someone in the comments please help. I can tell it's this, but I have no idea how to refine that point. So back to facts. It has polished its attacks and is awaiting a worthy opponent. The blaze kick it can unleash will leave its foes charred. Mega Blaziken has what it takes to become a fighting champ. So it's not just any cockfighter, it's the reigning champion cockfighter. Akin to the changes Hawlucha goes through too. Now, Abomasnow, an evergreen abominable snowman monster, mega evolves and gets more. Just more is just more of itself, like me at the buffet. It really is just more of the same. All the mega energy went into growing 2 of the pine cones on its back into full trees, and then freezing them solid, which doesn't sound pleasant, hence it needing to crawl around now, looking like a big X from the front. Well, Abomasnow is partially inspired by Juhyo, so-called Japanese snow monsters, that are in fact just wind-swept trees completely buried in snow and ice. And now it's a bigger, more frozen one. It's scarier, more abominable, and if you take that word, Juhyo, and you pronounce it a bit slower, you get Juhyo, the Japanese word for important, substantial, massive, and essential. Words you could certainly use to describe Mega Abomasnow. And the trees it represents. We need trees, guys. Ampharos is what happens when Game Freak goes nuts and says, what if a sheep was completely sheared and a lighthouse? And no one stopped them. And now it mega evolves. Why? See, why? Its longer ears give it a Y shape. It's got its wool back though, but only on its tail and on its head, like a Fabio mane. The tail has multiple light orbs, akin to the association between Chinese dragons and orbs, especially when floating in the clouds. Oh yeah, because Ampharos is electric dragon type now. Massive amounts of energy intensely stimulated Ampharos' cells, apparently awaking its long-sleeping dragon's blood. So now, consider whales. No, not the animal. The country. Yes, the one that even Game Freak forgot about in Sword and Shield. Wales is famous for 3 things: their love of sheep, their 36 lighthouses packed along their tiny coastline, and their really, really cool flag, which has a dragon on it. In fact, Welsh dragons aren't your typical European dragons. They were said to be gentle and were often compared to sheep. Plus, the British Isles are pretty often overcast and foggy, leading to their heavy use of lighthouses, yes, but also perhaps represented here. Ampharos' tail is not just a cloud, akin to how they're often depicted in ornate Chinese art, but this wool is like the foggy mist hovering just above the water's surface, and the head wool is like the mist swirling in the wind after it hits a tall lighthouse. This design is magnificent! Mega Aerodactyl has an interesting case of mega-itis, a pterosaur, or more specifically a Dimorphodon, that was always rock-type, being a fossil Pokemon and all, but the mega energy seems to have caused it to grow sharp, literal rocks all over its body, and not in a pleasant way. As the Pokedex points out, mega evolution is a burden on its body, so it's incredibly irritated. When it mega evolves, it becomes more vicious than ever before. Some say that's because its excessive power is causing it pain. I mean, yeah, it grew a big rocky Y on its chest, and its goatee and rocky head spikes are a big Y too. And its fingers! It completely lost its fingers to the rocks! How are you supposed to pick up garlic bread? Yeah, I'd be pretty irritated too. But that explains the new Tough Claws ability. The Pokédex also mentions some scholars claim that this is Aerodactyl's true appearance. The power of Mega Evolution has completely restored its genes, bringing back the sharp rocks that once covered Aerodactyl's entire body. Interesting. Mega Evolution brought back something it lost. It's akin to other Megas with returning elements from previous evolutions, but its previous evolution is just how it supposedly actually looked like millions of years ago. And also interesting, Aerodactyl has always had a lot to do with dinosaur DNA, even more so than other fossil Pokemon. While most fossil Pokemon are found as fossils and then get magically restored, Aerodactyl is restored from a piece of ancient amber with a bug in it, just like Jurassic Park. As such, a lot of Aerodactyl's Pokédex entries mention DNA or genetic material, and more interestingly, in the Pokemon trading card game, a lot of Aerodactyl's cards mess with Pokemon evolution rules for everyone. So, of course the Infinity Energy from Mega Evolution directly impacted its genes. Design-wise, Aerodactyl is all about its genes. And bonus fact, France has a place named Pterosaur Beach because of all the pterosaur fossil footprints found there, which is probably a part of why they decided Aerodactyl, out of all the fossil Pokemon, should have a Colossian Mega. Kalos is based on France. But all this talk of DNA, yeah, it's Mewtwo time. Like the other most important Pokemon, Charizard and Raichu, Mewtwo has two Megas. Mega Mewtwo Y goes all in on special attack. Despite its diminished size, its mental power has grown phenomenally. With a mere thought, it can smash a skyscraper to smithereens. Which is like many super psychics in media. Its tail is also attached to the back of its head. Does its brain go all the way down that tail too? That would explain its extra psychic power. Many say Mew and Mewtwo resemble embryos, so could this head tail be because most embryos before differentiating look like heads with stuff growing out the back? But then, what's this thing on top of its head? Is it perhaps a loop of nerves or more brain matter for firing even stronger psychic attacks? Plus, psychics in media often have headgear that help them too. This spoilery loop could be functioning similarly, but I guess the smooth curved horns here pair with the long head tail to form a Y shape as well. Kinda like its toes. In my older video about why Mewtwo has two necks, I go into a bit more detail, but there's a reason Mewtwo has bulbous fingers and toes as well. The sensory homunculus is a model which depicts what humans would look like if our parts grew in proportion to how much our brain senses them. Basically, how many nerve endings we have in each part, only made to be spread out evenly. You'll notice the really big fingers and toes. And when genetically creating the ultimate psychic-type Pokemon, it makes sense that you would want even bigger fingertips. They can store more nerve endings, so they can deliver even more psychic energy. Mega Mewtwo Ys now are purple, perhaps because they are just that jam-packed with them now. But get this, the sensory homunculus is one of a pair of models. There's also the motor homunculus model, which instead shows how much each part takes up our motor function processing in the brain, or how our brain controls our muscles. Perhaps that's why Mega Mewtwo X goes all in with physical attack, doing so through brain-powered psychic means. Back in the old days, it was believed by some that a homunculus was a tiny human that lives inside a sperm, which of course then grows into a fetus after it reaches an egg cell, linking us right back to Mew and Mewtwo's supposed fetal origins. But back to looking at Mega Mewtwo X, its muscles are pretty weird. Humans and just about every animal lack horizontal muscles on their outer forearms like this. They wouldn't really do anything. And its extra hip muscles, the closest you get to horizontal hip muscles are in the inner butt, not the outside of the hips. Yeah, Mega Mewtwo X is really strange. I mean, are they even muscles, or are they skin folds? Because this Mewtwo's arms are capable of stretching a bit thanks to its psychically infused muscles, but even when extended, those folds are still there, so Perhaps not. But maybe all these new extra muscles help give it the edge in fighting flexibility that its new fighting type would suggest. It's unnaturally good at that, perhaps thanks to its unnatural muscles, and its unnatural standing pose, holding its legs out quite a bit at the hip, which lines up with its weird shoulder muscles to make an X. Or maybe its legs make an X with its new spiky eyebrows. Plus, its big finisher move in Pokken starts with a stylish X too. Mega Gengar is my favorite original Mega, as it sort of perfectly continues the direction its evolutionary line was always going. Consider the concept of the spirit world, a world or dimension parallel to ours but is inhabited by ghosts and spirits rather than living things. Sometimes these ghosts break through the dimensional boundaries and appear in ours as mere partial aberrations, like just a shadow or a spooky face in the corner. Given enough time, however, the spirit may be able to reach out and get its hands into our plane of existence and begin manipulating objects, and upon evolving once more, it has the energy to fully enter our plane of reality, and it is now a full-bodied Gengar. But spirits can still be banished, can't they? Well, not if they completely root themselves into our reality, which both Mega and Gigantamax Gengar do, partially submerged in the ground, completely stable in our world. Extremely spooky. It's very similar, actually, to the ghost in Steven Spielberg's 1982 hit Poltergeist. Similar pose and everything. We know that a spirit world exists in the Pokémon universe, and the Pokédex points out that Mega Gengar is now a master of it. Mega Evolution has made it possible for Gengar to access other dimensions. It can pass through other dimensions and appear anywhere. It caused a stir one time when it stuck just its leg out of a wall. It was always a prankster, but what's up with its yellow third eye? Could it be always perceiving the spirit dimension, giving it that perfect mastery? Could be. And this design could also be introducing some Haunter elements with its longer ears and back spikes, as well as its triangular ghostly tail point body plan, meaning from above and behind it, it also has a bit of a Y shape. What do you think? Is Mega Gengar X or Y? Vote on your devices now. But as for what it loses control. Gengar's relationships are warped. It has no interest in opponents unless it perceives them as prey. It tries to take the lives of anyone and everyone. It will even try to curse the trainer who is its master. The thing's gone mad. Just like Mega Gyarados. Mega Gyarados has gone mad. Mega Evolution places a burden on its body. The stress causes it to become all the more ferocious, leaving no other function except its destructive instinct to burn everything to cinders. Which might sound strange for a water type, but remember, Gyarados has always loved to use the move Hyper Beam, a superheated light ray, which is surely capable of starting fires as it strikes the village flower shop, but due to its new state of mind, it swaps its flying type for dark. It's mentally messed up now. A true sea monster. Perhaps one could argue that its thicker body plan and return of this red-orange color and lighter whiskers is bringing back Magikarp parts. It is an iconically stupid Pokémon, and a weaker mind is more likely to be overcome with rage in this way. Interestingly, all of these pumps along the sides of Mega Gyarados, which sprouted up from Gyarados' lighter scales, shoot high-pressure water out of them, functioning a lot like those water jetpacks. And interestingly, a lot of medieval and Renaissance sea monsters were serpentine, yes, but others had multiple water spouts, and a much larger upper body that tapered off towards the end. Some were even similarly said to fly along the surface of the water, rather than strictly in it. The serpentine ones especially. So what Gyarados adds to its aquatic Chinese dragon roots is a lot more elements from European sea monsters, which is very fitting for a Mega introduced in a region based on France. But why would they need to add this weird blue chin? Why? Indeed. Mega Alakazam. First off, with each evolution in this line, they added a spoon. So upon Mega evolving, it takes the next logical step and adds 3 spoons and a beard. But in exchange, it has lost something. As a result of Mega evolution, its power has been entirely converted into psychic energy. it has lost all strength in its muscles. It's like a frail old guru after years of fasting and meditating to the point where he can levitate as if he were weightless. At the same time though, this line has many similarities to Baphomet, a holy or unholy depending on who you ask symbol of order who is said to know all things, especially when it comes to magic. Super intelligence and knowing all things is very much Alakazam's whole deal, along with its magician motif. And now, as a Mega, it's not only sitting in a similar pose, but its longer, wide mustache gives it a wing-like silhouette, very comparable to the silhouette of Baphomet. Mega Alakazam also, of course, gains the organ in the middle of its head, which is similar to many other Psychic-type Pokémon, whose forehead jewels and such increase their psychic power, though it can also be seen as bringing back a part of the star that it had as a Kadabra. Speaking of, Alakazam's 5-pointed star-shaped head is now a 6-pointed one, perhaps to subtly refer to Baphomet's torch, which sprouts from its head between its horns, meaning its head has 6 points as well, if you count the torch. That torch is a symbol of divine enlightenment, after all. To bear it is to be blessed with all knowledge, like Alakazam now. But if that's too big of a stretch to say, you can also say that its new head shape better follows the X shape that its new pointed shoulders do with its new leg pose. Regular Alakazam has these two longer, pointier bits, which could confuse you into thinking this Mega has a Y, so they fixed that with the new head shape. It's all X's, which as a symbol, some call, especially in Japan, a cross. And look, even though those feet are together, this is akin to sitting crisscross applesauce. Maybe that's a stretch too, but those more pointed shoulders go along with its bigger forearms to make it resemble the droopy large sleeves of a robe, like what expert wizards and magicians wear. Plus, they do help point the eye towards the center of the Monogon with its in-game model, in a way that lines up with the beard, overlaying another X silhouette. Now, what is the opposite of a super genius? That's right, it's Pinsir. Pinsir is a Japanese stag beetle, and when it mega evolves, its mandibles grow and gain more exaggerated teeth. Its arms get short airplane wings with pylons on the end, and it sprouts its true wings. Technically, while regular Pinsir isn't, the stag beetles it's based on are capable of flight, but they don't always do it because their huge mandibles make them a bit clumsy at it. Not that they're any less clumsy at walking, though. Typically, when you do see a male stag beetle in flight, it's because it is actively looking for a mate, which may relate to Mega Pinsir's odd-seeming Pokédex entries. The influence of Mega Evolution leaves it in a state of constant excitement, perhaps because it's so happy it rarely touches the ground. Or perhaps it's just really, really horny. Hence all the extra little horns and stuff. Because, I don't know, that face doesn't exactly scream happy to me. But breeding season is a time of excitement for these bugs. Mega Pinsir is manic, and its new ability, Aerodactyl, makes all of its normal-type moves flying-type because it's always in the air now, manically flying all over the place in sheer bliss. And thanks to the subtly added lines around the eyes, along with the new mouth shape, your eyes are drawn from this high-contrast point upwards to its significantly more dramatic horns, making a very subtle Y shape. Pinsir's rival, Heracross the rhinoceros beetle, gets a Mega too, and one based fully on the Hercules beetle. Look at that huge horn! This is one of the largest living beetles today, and it's not named after Hercules just because they both look so similar. Hercules/Heracles is the god of strength and heroes in Greco-Roman mythology, and both of those reasons on their own are enough to explain this Mega. It's strong. It can grip things with its two horns and lift 500 times its own body weight. But when Mega Evolution ends, Heracross is bothered by terrible soreness of its muscles. Oh no, relatable. I get sore when I pull weeds in the backyard or put a turkey in the oven, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I gotta keep my arms down like Heracross does in battle, which along with its extra pointy huge horn, gives it a silhouette like an upside down Y. But also, while I could go on a whole tangent here, I'll keep it quick, Bug type is super effective on the Dark type due in part to Japan's own association between insects and heroism. So the god of heroism and the beetle named after him for the bug fighting type, fighting being a Pokemon type also associated with justice and heroism, it writes itself. And speaking of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai stuff, not a lot of folks know this, but Mega Heracross can retract its claws and pop the top off like this, transforming its arm into a weapon. with a tiny Y shape, which is akin to a lot of Japanese heroes with armor, gadgets, and mechs that do the same. Some of those mechs, by the way, have vents. It's a mecha trope, just like the vents that Mega Heracross has here for some reason. And as an extra aside, while the region this Mega was introduced in, Kalos, is based on France, it also has a lot of Pokemon and elements from Greece, hence the few Greco-Roman Pokemon here too. Scizor is not just an evolution of Scyther, it is a trade evolution that requires the power of a held item, Metal Coat. During evolution, its body gets coated in the melty metal, you see, which is important to note because now, as a Mega Scizor, it can't sustain a battle over long periods of time. After a long time passes, its body starts to melt. They say jet fuel can't melt steel beams, but you don't need melty liquefaction of a metal. The metal just needs to get a little soft and malleable to become weak and no longer be able to do its job. Be that working as a scissory joint or holding up a lot of weight. And it doesn't even take that much heat to do. Depending on the steel alloy, a temperature as low as 400 degrees can reduce its yield strength by 10%. That's less than pizza baking temperature. But why is Mega Scizor doing this? Well, probably through no fault of its own. It's a Scyther in a metal coat, remember. It's like full-body plate armor, which itself has no built-in cooling. You see people in full plate armor in games and fantasy settings all the time, going about their guard duty or even cooking while camping, but it's just that. A fantasy. If it were the middle of summer, you've got like 20 to 30 minutes of combat in that armor before you need to take it off or risk heat stroke. Poor Scizor. But at least its forehead decor and abdomen bits make it resemble a Kuwagata and Jusuri on Red Samurai armor. That's really cool. Unlike its legs though, the thing can barely stand. Its legs are completely pointed, but that does make its legs flow into the body design better, giving it a more prominent X silhouette when you ignore the claws. Why would you ignore them though? Well, because the claws on their own form another big X. Much more so than regular Scizor's claws. No wonder this Pokemon loves the move X-Scissor, and the teeth on those crab-like claws are even more exaggerated, like cartoon serrated shears and wood saws. Terrible for pinching, but upping its intimidation factor for sure. Which is what Mega Houndoom does too. Mega Houndoom ups its intimidation factor. This single-headed Doberman Cerberus becomes even more of a hellhound with its blood-red claws and broken shackles. It's Houndoom let loose. Its red claws and the tips of its tail are melting from high internal temperatures that are painful to Houndoom itself. So, fun speculation, that dex entry may actually be referring to Beta Mega Houndoom, whose tail had this melty red spot. But in leaked design notes, we know it was changed due to it looking a bit too much like blood. And this Pokemon is already pushing the edge factor enough as it is. But at least now its tail is not only Y-shaped, but it is even more evocative of the underworld, resembling the Bident owned by Hades. Mega Houndoom is Hades' dog. It's Cerberus, but without the extra heads. Unless... look at the bone armor along its back. It always had bits resembling ribs, but now there's more. And spiny bits on the base of its tail, which, thanks to the shoulder horns, makes this new bone armor completely resemble a Y shape, just like its new upward Bident horns, as opposed to regular Houndoom's curved ram-like ones. But look at its chest. Look at the negative space between the tusks and the middle bone. It looks like angry demon eyes. Oh, a subtle second head. Actually, these tusks look a bit like regular Houndoom's horns if they moved a bit and kept growing. And regular Houndoom always had this simple skull collar. Is that what absorbed the Mega Energy and grew here? Now with sharp upper teeth and side horns along with even more demon horns? Oh gosh. Tyranitar is Pokemon's OG direct kaiju reference, be that Bemular or Godzilla. But since Tyranitar has MT, Mecha Tyranitar, akin to Mecha Godzilla, and Iron Thorns, another more futuristic Mecha Godzilla, or Mecha Bemular, I'm very tempted to say that Mega Tyranitar is a Super Godzilla or Space Godzilla reference, since both are a Godzilla but wider and with big shoulder spikes. Plus, Super Godzilla is literally the Godzilla charged with extra power, literally like Tyranitar charged with extra mega power. That said though, lots of kaiju have big shoulder spikes, and many of them, like Destroya, love to go all out in their destructive rage just like Mega Tyranitar. Due to the colossal power poured into it, this Pokemon's back split right open. its destructive instincts are the only thing keeping it moving. It's unclear whether it can even hear its trainer's orders. You know, I always wondered with older kaiju movies, does Godzilla actually hear the kids yelling at him? And if he did, would he understand? Well, let's dig a tad deeper into a possible Destroya route. Mega T-Tar has a huge hole in its back, which could be like Destroya's huge, openable chest cavity, but even more linking is what T-Tar and Destroya both evolved from. I really gotta make a WTF is Pupitar video, but in short, it's an always underground kaiju pupa in a shell. And similarly, Destroya was a Precambrian crustacean trapped under the strata, which underwent rapid mutation and evolution and eventually became this kaiju. Though that's not to say that it and Mega T-Tar are based on Destroya, just that there's a few similarities which could have been a part of its inspiration. Because otherwise, Mega Tyranitar just added an X-shaped chest piece and got all red-bellied and extra horny, and nobody wants to hear me say that. But its chest resembling the face and body of Pupitar is a nice touch, bringing back elements from its previous evolution like so many others. The changes Gardevoir goes through when Mega Evolving are pretty simple. For instance, its face frills grow to the point they resemble elven ears even more so. Gallade and Gardevoir have always had elven influence, especially the way Tolkien portrays them. In most fantasy, elves tend to be adept at magic, and all high class and fancy when they can be. Big dresses, pointy ears, gorgeous hair, and an association with the colors white and green. Gardevoir's flowy ballet dress now puffs out more like a ball gown, new fancy gloves included, which also could be explained in a bridesmaid versus the actual bride way. Obviously, the bridesmaids are beautiful and elegant too, but the bride is the star of the wedding, the peak of elegance in the room. Lovely. Though I always thought ball gowns looked a bit uncomfortable, like you have to hold your arms out a bit unnaturally. But at least Mega Gardevoir doing that makes her new gloved arms line up with her new XXL ears, forming an X shape. Mega Gardevoir also gets an extra horn, which is its most important change, since the horn is the source of its power, sensing the hearts and emotions of others. That's why it's shaped like half a heart through Gardevoir's own heart, after all, and now it's two halves in a heart, which, especially in the anime, gives it a bow shape, which plenty of fancy gowns have, but do those dress bows give the wearers the ability to create black holes? I thought not. Upon Mega Evolution, Mawile simply gets more terrifying, and even more like the yokai it was always based on, the Futakuchi Onna, or the two-mouthed woman, a yokai that appears like an ordinary woman but has a monstrous mouth on the back of her head, hidden amongst her hair. Her hair can also act on its own, acting like long tentacle arms, voraciously reaching for more and more food to consume. So sure enough, when Mega Evolving, Mawile grows not only longer hair on the sides, but a whole extra hair mouth, giving her X-shaped hair. Mawile always had a body resembling a hakama, traditional Japanese clothing worn by all sorts of folks of all sorts of classes. They are wide-legged, pleated trousers or skirt-like pants, and upon Mega Evolving, they just get bigger and fancier, as do its sleeves. In fact, it now almost resembles the hakama that Shinto shrine maidens wear. In fact, Shinto shrine maidens are often involved with banishing evil spirits and yokai, so one secretly being one. Now that is a spooky trap. Mega Kangaskhan, like many dedicated moms, puts all of her mega energy into her child, making it temporarily grow up a bit. That's really weird, but okay. Fun fact, did you know kangaroos can have multiple joeys at different developmental stages at the same time, from only one mating session? They also have two uteruses and can make milk tailored for up to 2 different life stages for their young, be they tiny pink jelly beans or more active joeys. Kangaroos are super moms, and Kangaskhan is no different, besides not really being a kangaroo. Like, what is it? Thanks to Mega Evolution, its child grows, but as the child is only good at fighting and nothing else, its mother feels uneasy about its future. When the mother sees the back of her mega evolved child, it makes her think of the day when her child will inevitably leave her. The mother is beside herself with worry about it. Oh man. empty nest syndrome, the depression and emotional distress experienced by parents when their children leave home. Only it's empty pouch syndrome in its case, I guess. At least for now, she can enjoy working together with her child to break the meta, with their dual X energy punches and opposing stances that they always have, meaning your eyes follow two opposing diagonal lines. So when the kid is in front of mom, which is 90% of the time, they make a very subtle X. Or a Y, I guess you could argue. This is the loosest and most subtle of them all. Honestly, it's probably the one Mega Pokemon that makes me doubt that design theory. When Aggron Mega evolves, it interestingly loses its rock typing, becoming Mono Steel. In a way, it's purified itself. Metals are typically derived from ore, which are rocks that contain bits of metal, and when you melt the rocks away, you are left with just the much harder metal. Aggron's design reflects this, looking like a rock monster wearing bits of metal armor here and there, but when Mega evolved, that metal plating is a lot bigger, covering most of its body in a way that resembles large plates of scaled armor. The holes in its head resemble a gladiator helmet almost, though the plates on the back of its head that extend down its back when Mega evolved resemble the backs of samurai helmets, which fittingly had decorative varieties with horns, which is likely also what Mega Aggron's new shoulder bits resemble. Even its new ability reflects its more tanky nature. Filter reduces the damage it takes from super effective moves. It having this longer nose spike is notable though, as that makes it more akin to its inspirational source, the Bulgasari from Korean folklore. While originally just a metal-eating cross between a bear, an elephant, and a rhinoceros, which is known for being impossible to kill due to its high defense, it became a kaiju in the 1960s, 80s, and 90s in 3 different movies. And now it's a Pokemon, with an even pointier chin too, giving its face the same Y motif that its torso and new shoulders give it too. Double Y. Medicham, the champ of meditation, combines several similar elements from the Middle East to India, which historically were very connected for their distance. And when Mega evolved, it just turns those elements up, while also bringing back the turban-like head from its previous evolution, Meditite. It gains a belly dancer's hip scarf. They often use beads and coins to jingle, jingle, jangle as the dancer moves, but Medicham seems to keep its danglies few, like jewels dangling from their belts. Most intriguingly though, it gains these 4 scarf-like psychic arms from its back, which could make it resemble many Hindu deities. Hindus are often the folks most adept at meditation after all, being the source of the idea of levitation and other magical things gained through meditation, or fasting for long periods of time and sensing the inner auras of others through the wisdom gained from meditation, which Medicham is noted as doing. Even the Hindu deity of meditation, among many other things, Shiva, is frequently depicted with 4 to 6 arms, and the closest to a Hindu deity of belly dance you can get is Matangi, goddess of music, knowledge, and the arts. And like Medicham, she wears all red or pink and often has her belly exposed, and is multi-armed. The reason so many Hindu deities have extra arms is to symbolize their immense powers and abilities to perform multiple tasks at once, across many different planes even. It's not to say they literally have them, it's just that it's the easiest way to depict their diverse supernatural abilities. They are beyond human. So for Mega Medicham, it has supernatural extra arms, because it is beyond your usual Medicham. It is a Mega Medicham. And thanks to its new one-legged pose and diagonally extending psychic arms, it forms a very large Y. Mega Manectric. Why does it have to look like that? Why indeed. This lightning dog is now more lightning bolt than dog, and all that power is too much to carry, hence it now needing to lean back down. It's in its old electric pose. Too much electricity has built up in its body, irritating Manectric. Its explosive speed is equal to that of a lightning bolt. It's too much for Manectric to fully control. Lightning itself is very uncontrollable, ain't it? Going all over the place and at speeds we can barely comprehend. 220,000 miles per hour, by the way. Can you even imagine your dog escaping the house and running that fast? It's like 1 second it's there, and 1 camera frame later there's just a black smoldering streak from where it was to wherever it is now. The ultimate zoomies. But this actually makes it even more like its main inspirational source, the dog-like creature owned by Raijin, the Shinto god of lightning, Raiju. It is said to be made of, or just completely wrapped in, lightning. And while it takes many different animal forms, a dog is by far the most popular to depict it as. So there you go. Manectric is just totally covered with lightning now. Someone needs to make their tiny dog cosplay this. Banette is based on the horror trope of haunted or possessed dolls, and it is full of power. Which is why it keeps its dolly mouth shut with a zipper. If it opens its mouth, its cursed energy escapes, according to the Pokédex. And so, when Mega evolved, what better thing is there to do than give it even more zippers and have them all be open? Mega Evolution increases its vindictiveness, and the cursing power that was held back by its zipper comes spilling out. It can't help but curse its own trainer. You get a curse, and you get a curse. Everybody gets a curse! One detail I like is that it's basically 4 double-spiked bulbous bags, all connected at the thin middle in a big plus shape. Wait, rotate 45 degrees. It's an X! It's a giant X! Oh! The new zipper across its face, even right across its eye, gives it a scarred look, which is very much like the possessed doll horror movie icon, Chucky. But Chucky didn't have zippers on his hands and bottom, which open to reveal bright pink ghost claws. Unless he does. I didn't watch it. But being a bunch of curses inside a doll, though, you could theorize that its insides are deeply connected to the same spirit world that Mega Gengar is utilizing. And thanks to Mega Energy, Banette's true, pure form is able to come out just a bit here. Okay, so why does Mega Absol grow wings? Like, this Pokemon was already too edgy for its own good, and now it's pure DeviantArt bait. And what even is Absol to begin with? Well, that video has been on my to-do list for years because it's super deep and gets into everybody's favorite topic, the history of religion. So, I've been putting it off. Maybe I'll get around to it in the next few years. Pokédex. As the energy of Mega Evolution fills it, its fur bristles. What you see on its back are not true wings, and this Pokemon isn't able to fly. Well then, what are they? When this Pokemon whips its wing-like fur on its back as though beating its wings, it sends an intimidating aura flying at its opponents. Faint-hearted people expire from shock at the sight of it. Oh! Well, okay then. Would it come as a shock to you if I said Absol, and especially Mega Absol, are Poké-Angels?
Be not afraid.
And all that. I'm sure if you saw this in the sky, you'd expect quite a lot of faint-hearted folks to pass out, or worse. Biblical angels are the messengers of God, who would descend and warn someone of impending disaster, which is what Absol does all the time, warning folks of impending disasters. But folks then assumed the Absol brought the disaster, like it was leading the disaster to them. The poor thing is just misunderstood. It's also akin to the concept of guardian angels, the idea that everyone who is faithful has an angel watching over them and keeping them safe, which itself goes back to Lama, or Lamassu, an ancient Assyrian protective deity from around 2000 BC. So even 600 years before the Old Testament even started being written, humans had the idea of a protective winged spirit. While Lamassu does take more humanoid forms like this, Lamassu are also known to take a bull-like animal form, perhaps partially explaining Absol's horn, though it is more so from this, but that's regular Absol. We're talking about the Mega. But on top of this, Llama always have their large wings and human heads. Absol's head isn't strictly feline or canine or anything now like that, is it? It has some definite anthro flatness in there, especially when Mega evolved. And now the white, soft and flowy, extra long hair partially covers its face, which, along with the more demon wing-like tail and black horns, reminds me of Lucemon, Digimon's Lucifer equivalent, a dark, fallen angel. It's actually quite common to depict Lucifer or fallen angels with hair like this, to varying degrees, in anime. He really would be an emo boy, huh? Questioning his dad's authority and all that. So Mega Absol is a fallen guardian angel Lamassu thing. Absol is definitely getting a dedicated video soon. It's one of those Pokemon that just makes me constantly beg the question, why? Oh hey, and the pose it's always making now? It's a big Y shape, thanks to the wings. Neat. Latias and Latios, when Mega evolved, become almost identical to each other. In fact, their only differences are eye color and body size, with Latios being the larger of the two. They both become purple, which is right between their normal red and blue on the color wheel, and like fast jets, thanks to the energy of Mega Evolution, Mega Latios is said to be the fastest Pokémon of all. But that's not reflected in its speed stat, because that's not what the speed stat means in Pokémon, video about that here. But given enough acceleration time, Mega Latios can reach Mach 4 now, and their new wing shape plays a role in that speed. Your typical fighter jet has thrusters in the back and thin wings akin to normal Latiosinos. However, some of the fastest jets ever created have thicker segments on the wings, almost akin to Mega Latiosinas. Plus, the super famous for a plane SR-71 Blackbird, while not the fastest jet anymore, was for quite a time, and it was a pioneer in stealth aircraft technology, which is notable because these two Pokémon get their names from Latin lateo, meaning I conceal or I am hidden. Remember their movie? They turn invisible. They are stealth. So stealthy, in fact, that they seem to hide if they are more X-y or Y-y very well. But maybe that's precisely why their biggest difference is really their key art poses. The poses they are always depicted as taking, especially in their merchandise, where their overall silhouettes are either more X or more Y. When Garchomp Mega evolves, what does it change or add to its design? Well, a lot more torso teeth, that's for sure. Remember, Garchomp is a land shark, and shark skin is covered in tiny tooth-like structures called dermal denticles. It's like tooth armor on their skin. Garchomp just takes that a little more literally, and especially so when it Mega evolves, but it also loses the wings it cared so much for. Its vaunted wings become scythes, sending it mad with rage. It swings its scythes wildly and slices the ground to pieces. Mad with rage, it rampages on and on. Oh, the po thing is angry, which, along with its looks, gives me punk vibes. A lot of punk pants and jackets get added spikes to up the I am tough and angry factor, just like shark skin. But if we focus on Japanese delinquent punk tropes, it gets even clearer. The sharp teeth, the pointy shoulders and popped collars, open jackets, maybe with a sarashi covering their bellies, the pompadours. Just break down Mega Garchomp here. The blue is the jacket and pants. The yellow on its belly is akin to the sarashi binding, or maybe even a big belt buckle. The red is the exposed chest. The face is even more rounded and forward in the middle, just like a pompadour. Its shoulders are pointed like an exaggerated jacket, and its new teeth on the torso here is where the jacket's zipper teeth would be. And the way its chest is shaded in the key art definitely feels more like a well-toned male human chest than it does like just the chest of a regular Garchomp. Plus, most characters who follow the antagonistic delinquent trope are all about their short-tempered anger, rage, and violence. Just like this Pokémon. It just makes too much sense. The X in its design, though, is subtle, but also further explains its new emphasized shoulders and red knee spikes, sorta similar to Mega Alakazam. And lastly, let's look at Lucario. Like, it's one of the most popular Pokémon ever. It had to get a Mega, but rather than getting 2 Megas at the time, like all the other most popular Pokémon, instead it gets the honor of practically being the mascot of Mega Evolution. Not only is it the Mega Pokémon Ash got to have, and in-game was said to be the first Mega Pokémon owned by a trainer, but in X and Y, it's basically the tutorial Mega Pokémon. Karina, the gym leader of Shalor City, is who gives you the Mega Ring after you beat her, allowing you to Mega Evolve Pokémon, as she did in the battle against her, the first time you fight a Mega in-game. And it's, of course, Mega Lucario, who you also get as a reward for beating her. An introductory, hey, this is what Mega Evolution looks like, now it's your turn, and now this is your Pokemon to do it with. Even when the card game announced the return of Mega Pokemon, they did so with Mega Lucario. But as for what Mega Lucario adds to Lucario's design, it adds these oddly organic-looking black streaks in its fur. Perhaps a reference to the streaks in Lapis Lazuli? As we covered in Lucario's dedicated video, it's a very Egyptian Pokemon. and this was one of the most precious stones in ancient Egypt. Likely the reason Lucario is blue, too. Black streaks all over its body show where its auras and the energy of Mega Evolution intermingled and raced through it. So these black streaks are literally aura plus Mega Energy. So while you could say it's a bit of a stretch, the black additions on its face create a wide X shape. But how about its tan fur, which puffs much more out on top and bottom now, too, making it resemble an equally tall X shape. Nice. Now it looks like it's wearing a shendit, which was a wraparound kilt-like garment that ancient Egyptian men, both royal and peasant, usually wore. They were usually made of linen, which is a similar color to Mega Lucario's torso and tail, and they were often longer in the back than the front due to the way they were wrapped around and fastened. Mega Lucario's tail just looks like a more exaggerated version of that. And one thing I didn't mention in Lucario's video is that the red ends of Lucario's limbs and hair bobs are akin to a lot of Egyptian pottery, which was specifically used in cemeteries, which I really should have added to Lucario's video because it has so much to do with ancient cemeteries. But I digress. A lot of Pokemon designs are filled to the brim with little choices like that, so it's a struggle to find them all when the pressure is on. And with that, I have now explained the original Mega Pokemon, or at least their basics. Only 28 Pokemon, out of what, 721? And most of them were Cantonian? Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of our next videos. We are going to cover every Mega Pokemon after all, and every other Pokemon eventually too. Thanks for watching, and until next time, never stop using your noggin.